Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Phase 2 in the Occupy Wall Street protests, America, the police state. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. On Tuesday, about 1,000 protesters gathered in Oakland, California, and major concerns began to arise. There was a rat problem, vandalism, fights, and fire hazards.
A rat problem, vandalism, fighting, and fire hazards. 4 things that I did not hear about from any other news station. I followed this quite closely. Did not hear that from anywhere, not even on Fox News anywhere else. It might be out there, but I haven't seen it. This is the first time hearing of the rat problem that apparently is first and foremost, and then fighting that started before the cops got there, because in Oakland, from the video I saw, it was the cops acting like a militarized posse. And what they were doing was firing beanbag bullets and tear gas at them, at their faces, as you can see here.
It's hard to see from this video exactly how this demonstrator was wounded. But if you doubt that the police were deliberately aiming at the protesters, watch this policeman when a group of protesters attempt to come to the aid of the injured person. Watch that again.
Now, who seems more violent to you, Bill?
Medical responders were denied access to the protest site on 2 occasions. So the city of Oakland decided to move the protesters, and police did that. But later on that day, some of the occupiers tried to return to the plaza outside City Hall. Police told them they could not return, and violence broke out.
You notice right there how casually Bill O'Reilly mentions how violence broke out?
And violence broke out.
But he doesn't mention that it was the cops that were the ones being violent. It was not the protesters who were being violent towards the cops. There might have been 1 or 2 protesters that threw a rock or a bottle, or spatula is one thing I heard. But it was every cop out there, you know, acting like they were some kind of military force, and that they were not going to allow these protesters to have their free speech in, you know, no free speech zones. Like, is that what America has fucking become? Fuck you.
At least 200 arrests were made, scores of people injured, including a number of police officers. Property was destroyed, and the cops used tear gas and beanbag rounds to disperse the surging protesters.
Bill, where's your evidence, or at least your examples of the property that was destroyed, and the fighting and the rat problem thing that you were mentioning before? You don't even give examples, much less any evidence of what you're saying. You're just, I'm just gonna blurt it the fuck out there, and the dumb fucks that watch me, they're gonna eat it up. Nom nom, because they're fucking retarded. And they believe the bullshit. I don't even know if Bill O'Reilly believes the bullshit he says. He's such a smug fuck. You tend to believe that he believes himself. But, I mean, you have to be some kind of fucking idiot.
Oakland Police Chief Howard Jordan.
Our job is to protect life and property and make sure that the citizens of Oakland are safe. Our officers were assaulted with bottles, rocks, and had hazardous materials thrown at them.
Wait. Why were the cops there in the first place? Why were the cops there in mass, in force, geared up in the first place? Why? Nope, nobody seems to be asking that fucking question. Why were they there? Because the more cops you put against the protesters, and like you corral them into smaller spaces, and you don't allow them to do this and that, and you beat on them, or you just randomly walk in and pepper spray them, like that fucking douchebag in New York a few weeks back. You do that shit and you rile up the protesters. And then when the protesters maybe get pissed off enough to fight back, it's just the cops had to do something. They were so violent, you know. They were there not doing anything until we showed up and provoked them. But, you know, we have to protect ourselves by throwing motherfucking tear gas or flashbang grenades into crowds of people that are trying to help an injured person. Because that's what good cops do, protect and serve, and flashbang you.
Enter the Radical Move On organization, which is funding some of the occupiers. It took just hours for them to produce this video.
For weeks, Occupy Oakland participants have peacefully exercised their First Amendment right to protest the Wall Street greed that has left our economy in shambles. On October 25th, police shamefully, recklessly, brutally tried to silence them. Mayor Kwan, is this your city? Stop the police brutality and protect the rights of the citizens of Oakland to peacefully assemble.
Now, it's obvious that Move On was ready to exploit any violence so they could portray the USA as a police state.
What the fuck is that exactly? Now, it's obvious that this organization that is defending the people's right to peacefully assemble and protest, it's obvious that they were just waiting for the cops to treat people like dirt and totally get away with it in order to call the U.S. a police state. They were waiting for the cops to give them the evidence that they needed to say, this is a fucking police state type bullshit. Yeah, you see how that works? They get the evidence that the cops do that kind of shit and don't get fucking, like, reprimanded. You know what they get? They get paid fucking vacation. The taxpayers pay for them to go on vacation when they fuck up. Awesome. Oh, you know, you pepper spray some random person in the face. If you are a person, a citizen like me, you go to jail. Assault, battery. If you're a cop, the person they did it to probably goes to jail. Why? Well, I'm a cop. That gives me the authority over you little shits. You know, fuck that. That's called a police state. And that's where we're at. And when you give them proof of it, they're going to fucking run a commercial saying so. And they very clearly at the end said, and I'm surprised O'Reilly even ran it, that they support the right of the people to peacefully assemble. I mean, Jesus, peacefully. They said nothing about the fucking, like, violence. Obviously. That's more of a right-wing thing. Like, we came unarmed this time. It's fucking stupid.
That is part 2 of the Occupy movement. First, demonize capitalism, tell the world how unfair the U.S. economic system is, then show the world the cops are fascists.
So what you're saying is that the Occupy movement is succeeding.
Disgracefully, the mayor of Oakland, Jean Kwan, caved in to the radical left.
And now this part is beautiful, because apparently to Bill O'Reilly, if you're the mayor of a city and that city's police, like, crack a guy's skull open, that guy that you saw that was laying injured, that the people were trying to help when the cops were throwing in the flashbang grenade, he was an ex-Marine that got shot in the face with a gas canister, and it cracked his fucking skull. He's still in the hospital. I'm sure most of you have heard about it. Apparently, if you apologize for these kind of actions and you're the mayor, you are just caving in to the far left. If you apologize for one of your citizens being injured by your police, you're just caving into the libs. What you should do is shoot them in the face and say, see what happens? Now stay down. That's what a good corporatist, I mean Christian, would do.
What I wanted to say to you tonight is how deeply saddened I am about the outcome on Tuesday. It's not what anyone hoped for. I understand it's my responsibility, and I want to apologize to everyone about what happened. We have many poor immigrants, we have many people who go to bed hungry. We are also a progressive city, and as a longtime civil rights activist and union organizer, I want my city to support this movement.
Nice job, Mayor. Throwing your entire police department under the bus. That's what real leadership is all about.
See, if you were Bill O'Reilly and you were the mayor, then what you would do is you would have the cops do that kind of shit, injure your vets, your veterans, for fuck's sake, and then turn around and not apologize for it. Just be like, I don't see, you know, let the police themselves. We couldn't even tell who that was. And if we could, we'd just give them paid vacation anyway. You know, otherwise, if you do say anything in support of the people that those police were injuring, you're just throwing the police under the bus. Now, this next part is very important. I want you to really pay close attention and listen and remember so you can see the double standard of Bill O'Reilly in just the couple of minutes that follow.
Now, some liberal Americans continue to believe the Occupy Wall Street protesters have a valid beef, and some may have. But these people are being exploited by powerful radical organizations. They are being used in the hopes of embarrassing the USA. The Occupy Wall Street movement is not a spontaneous protest against economic inequality. It is a well-thought-out campaign to bring down the infrastructure of this country, to turn us into a Western European-type entitlement state. That's what George Soros, Move On, the SEIC, and many far-left journalists want, and they are using the protests to that end. And that's a medal. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us now from Los Angeles, Dr. Caroline Heldman, who teaches at Occidental College, Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. So where am I going wrong here, Leslie?
Well, first of all, Bill, any organization, any movement, any protest is going to be exploited, to use your term, by somebody, whether it be the Koch brothers with the Tea Party on the right, George Soros with the Occupy Wall Street movement on the left. I would say, Bill, that you're giving the movement, in a sense, more power when you're talking about this, not just demonizing, but anarchy and the real agenda, the real goal. I really believe the real agenda and the real goal, and the majority of these people are just that, people that are frustrated with the disparity in wages, are frustrated by the constant reports, even this week, that the rich are getting richer. They're frustrated by the current state of their country and their government.
Well, you can believe anything you want. You're an American, but you made a statement that the Koch brothers were tied into the Tea Party financially. Can you prove that?
Actually, Bill, I know it was like a whole 10 seconds ago, but she said this.
So where am I going wrong here, Leslie?
Well, first of all, Bill, any organization, any movement, any protest is going to be exploited, to use your term, by somebody, whether it be the Koch brothers with the Tea Party on the right, George Soros with the Occupy Wall Street movement on the left.
She didn't say that the Koch brothers were financially tied to the Tea Party.
And their
anything
government.
You want, you're an American, but you made a statement that the Koch brothers were tied into the Tea Party financially. Can you prove that?
Well, the Koch brothers did fund Tea Party candidates such as Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin. Governor Scott Walker was backed, yes.
Leslie, you're a Fox News contributor. You have a responsibility. Can you prove the Koch brothers are tied into the Tea Party financially? Can you?
With a check in hand, no.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
the Koch brothers have never denied the financial trail.
Your turn is over. We'll get back. And I want to remind you not to make statements you can't back up on this network. We don't do that on this network. Other networks do. We don't.
All right, so did you guys like how Bill O'Reilly called her out like that, asking for direct evidence right away to tie them together? And don't forget that if she had that evidence, Fox News wouldn't be airing this episode, or they would have edited it out. And if she was to try and give it, she would just lose her job as a Fox News contributor. Do you like Bill O'Reilly's double standard about how he can sit there and tie the Occupy Wall Street movement to all of these left-wing organizations, but if someone else tries to do it on his show just a few seconds later, he calls them out? Are you kidding me? Where's your evidence? You can't say anything bad about the Koch brothers. I can talk shit about all these left-wing organizations, all these liberals, and their Occupy Wall Street all I fucking want, how they're tied together with no fucking evidence. I just put it out there as fucking news. But you're not allowed to do the same back to me. That's Bill O'Reilly's double fucking standard.
Dr. Heldman, am I going wrong here in my analysis?
Well, I would say that yes, in the sense that it really is a populist movement. It's a small, a handful of grassroots activists who started this, some of whom are anarchists, some of whom are just concerned Americans, but it has grown well beyond that. We're talking a collection of Christians and anarchists and hippies and hipsters and students and grandmothers. More than half of the American public has a favorable rating of Occupy Wall Street.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, doctor, hold it. Now I'm going to stop you. Not anymore. Okay? The new polls out are against, this is the Fox News poll, all right?
So you know you can trust it.
Is the movement good or bad for the country? Occupy Wall Street. Good for the country, 38%. Bad for the country, 41%. Unsure, 21%. Now that's directly because of my reporting, Glenn Beck, talk radio, when we're not hysterical.
Not hysterical, just retarded.
And we're asking valid questions, doctor, like what would a grandmother be doing out in the middle of New York City or Oakland or Atlanta or anywhere for 3 weeks?
Bill,
you can see it for a day or two, but not for 3 weeks.
Yeah, what a totally fucking valid question, you idiot. Octopus out.
You're a Fox News contributor. You have a responsibility. I want to remind you not to make statements you can't back up on this network. We don't do that on this network. Other networks do. We don't.